Hi there. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Tinnitist TV. Today I am talking to Brandy Zdan. She has two words for the music industry. No, not those two. The motto on Zdan's mind these days is "So what?" It's the title of the singer-songwriter, guitarist, and producer's fourth studio album, and the best summation of the rebellious attitude she's adopted in her music and her career. So What is not only her loudest, proudest, and most rocking release to date, it's also her most independent outing, completely funded by Kickstarter backers, including me. With the album out now, the former Winnipegger zoomed in from her longtime Nashville home to talk changing her tune, going it alone, and having no F's left to give. Enjoy! I am glad to talk to you today about this album, and especially this album because, first and most selfishly, it's my favorite album that you've made so far, and
Yay.
and oh yeah, because that's all that matters. And two, it feels like a really important album for you. It feels like a really pivotal kind of point in your work and your career, both in terms of the music, but also the way you went about making this album. Is that how it felt for you? Did it kind of feel like you were changing all the rules of the game and really stepping outside of the box and your comfort zone and all those things?
It does feel that way. I think that I've been sort of threatening to make a record like this for a long time. Like
Uh-huh.
there's every record so far up until this point, it's been like, hey, here's a record with a couple of rock and roll songs on it, where
Hmm.
this feels like a real cohesive body of work, but also a sound that's really just fully formed in my own brain. You know,
Yeah.
and then seen through the whole way by myself. It does though, and I hope it feels different, and it really feels like I'm making a debut in a sense. It's weird. It's like I don't know if we just do this every decade or so, or when you kind of like reach a new level of not giving a shit, and then you kind of do something else, or do something more, or something that you've
Yeah.
always wished you've done. But I think fully trusting in my seat as a producer is pivotal for it.
Mm.
And even though I've done that in the past, but this just felt
Right.
different. It's producing a rock and roll record is different than sitting in one room and building the tracks inside the box. Like it's a whole different ball game.
Right. So, talking about every decade changing up. I mean, it's like that. I was reminded of that thing about what is it they say every 7 years.
Oh yeah.
all of the cells in your body have regenerated, so you're like a new person. So maybe that's
Yes.
part of it. You're just a new person. But so let's start with the rock aspect of it because you mentioned that, and that to me is obviously the most instantly apparent aspect of this. I mean, people who only remember you from way back in the day would, and haven't been keeping up or paying attention, might be surprised to know how much you rock in general and have over all of the albums. But on this one, this is definitely the loudest, the hardest hitting, the fastest. This one just rocks from pretty much stem to stern, and it's full of this attitude, as you said, of no fucks given, and at times it's garage rock, at times I hear some Detroit stuff in there. It's almost punk at times. The title is certainly "So What" is certainly punk. Was there something like very sort of was there some kind of specific thing that happened that changed that brought all this out and brought all this on? Or was it just sort of this gradual evolution?
That is a very good question. And if I was to answer really honestly, I don't think there is a moment that I could point to. I think it's an accumulation of a lot of things.
Hmm.
And I think that you can kind of tell that there is a bit of an indictment of the music industry within this
There's an
sort of
indictment of a lot of things
of
in
a
this.
lot of
It's
things.
you,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, yes. Sure. And I think it's all of that. It's like, I mean, it's so funny. It leaves me almost speechless because I'm so mad about so many things, and this is the avenue to talk
Uh-huh.
about it. And I think a lot of, honestly, throughout every part of my career, there has been like a weird feeling of non-acceptance within scenes
Hmm.
and within music industry groups. Never the musicians, never like the musician community, but
Right.
like this outward sort of, like even
Them.
going back to Twilight Hotel days where I remember being nominated for our first Juno, and we were the only group on that roster who didn't have a manager, agent, label, like anything.
Right.
And that is still true to this day, where I cannot get arrested in terms of the music industry stuff.
Hmm.
People, and I think it's just like I get really sick and tired of it. And at this point, with
Hmm.
this record, it's like I don't care about you guys anymore.
Yeah,
And
well, you don't have to though either. I mean,
well,
because you can do all the pieces yourself, and
sure,
obviously it's different than having the machine behind you. But at this stage of the game, I think you're honestly better off building your own ladder
it's true.
than trying to
It's
climb
true.
somebody else's.
Absolutely. And especially for the lane that I'm trying to go in,
Hmm.
they just the music industry just wants cookie cutter folks anyway. And they
Well, yeah,
want to
exactly.
they don't understand originality. They don't understand any of that stuff. And so it's really a accumulation of all of that stuff over sort of my
Hmm.
whole career. And then also, I think really becoming a mother in the USA right now, in the last 5 years. I think that has done it. And it's really
Uh-huh.
made me, it's given me the, I feel like it's given me the permission
Hmm.
to be exactly who I'm meant to be, play the music I'm meant to play. Um, it's almost like being an example for her. And that it's really
Right.
cool. I didn't realize that motherhood would do this, that it would, that it would, it's almost radicalized me in a way, in a great way. And I think
Hmm.
we need to put all the mothers in charge down here.
Up here too, sure.
Yeah,
Uh,
totally.
yeah. Well, yeah, and I mean, again, you hear that in these songs. There is so much defiance in these songs, and again, it's not like all your previous music was Moon Spoon June romantic
Sure.
ballads or whatever, but so many of these lyrics are feel like you. Well, what do you do when they don't care? What the hell do you do when you can't break through? I don't
Yeah.
care what you say. Almost every
Yeah.
one of these songs has some sort of I don't care. I am sick and tired of this. Was it when you started writing these songs, was that sort of conscious, or was it just, one song came out and you went, "Oh, wow." And then the others followed suit from that?
Yeah. Some of these are actually surprisingly fairly older, like as old as 5 years
Mhm.
old.
Oh,
I
okay.
started writing all these songs kind of around the time that I became a mom.
Hmm.
And they've been accumulating as a body of work. Um,
Okay.
and so I've been kind of waiting until I have had, it's been on purpose. Like I wanted to have these songs that were hard hitting and hooky and fast and no fat, just like here we
Yes.
go, 2 minutes and 45 seconds. Like I love that. And
Yeah.
I wanted it sonically to also be like, whoa, that's
Hmm.
that's a lot right now. Like, okay, I'm in it, because I also on the other side love subtlety and space, and I am all about that in
Hmm.
in music production and my tastes as well. I mean, like I'm the biggest fan of Lanois, and he's all about that, and I've learned so much from
Sure.
him. Uh, but I think I love both sides. So I just
Hmm.
I feel that fire right now, and um and it was kind of just like, okay, all the songs are there finally. Like let's really do this.
So how was recording this, as you said, because it wasn't sitting in the room making it in the box and double
Hmm.
tracking your vocals and adding this and adding that. So how did, I mean, was this differently in terms of you had a band in the room and just cut live, or how was making this one different from the previous ones?
Yeah, this is in a this way of production that I like to do and that has been going on for all of time. But my taste of making music in a room in a recording studio
Yeah.
with musicians, it's not necessarily the way that people are doing it right now, or it's not popular. And I think that
Hmm.
has to do with a lot of things like budgets, you know.
Yeah.
And see, there's a lot of people just doing it in the box, and I don't love that as a
Hmm.
producer, as a music maker. I think collaboration is so important. And as a producer, I have a brain where I can somehow think about the beginning, the end, the middle, every single piece all at one time, and also be able to, listen to the sounds, manage the energy of the musicians in the room, um, and also kind of compartmentalize myself, which is super odd. Be able to go into the tracking room, which is what we were doing. There was three of us in there, the meat of the record, and we did a lot of pre-production for this one, but I was able to go into the studio, the tracking room. We would have a plan. We would do it a couple times. I'd be able to come back into the control room and actually be able to separate myself and be like, okay, this was good.
Right.
That one wasn't good. Like, what do we need to change? And make the calls really fast also. And I
Uh-huh.
think that's the difference of like the experience over 20 years of making records. Like, I can just
Right.
come in now and be definitive about something and make the call fast and trust it. And maybe that's the whole thing now. It's just like I trust my gut with all the decisions, and that was super fun, super exhausting to go back and forth like that. But
Sure.
especially because these songs are so high energy, and live tracking songs like this it's like you kind of have to be an athlete in a way. Like you really
Well, it's
do.
like being back in the basement too. I mean,
Yeah.
it's got that, uh,
It's living and breathing, and it feels like it's,
yeah.
like I mean, we're using a click track when we're tracking, so we can overdub or mix things up a little bit, but like it is living and breathing within that. And
Hmm.
I wanted it to feel like a band and not hired musicians. And I think it
Yeah.
really does. Because this kind of music has to feel that way,
Yeah.
and I hope that I really hope that that this record also brings some record production work in this genre too, because I'm hungry to produce some bands,
Well,
and not
I
just
like the
singing.
production on it because, as you say, it does have that rough and tumble, rough around the edges live feel to it. But if you actually listen to the songs, and kind of dig into them a little, I mean, there's still production going on here.
Yeah.
Sure, there's fewer of vocal doubling tracks on your part. Like to me, that's part of when I listen to your other albums. That's sort of part of your sound, is I hear you harmonizing with yourself. But this one seems to be just more of a straight vocal line. Although there's more echo. You've got that slap
Yeah.
back on the
Yeah.
echoes
I
that
love
really
it.
works.
I love it right
Yeah.
now.
And those 70s synth lines that are straight out for me anyway out of old Cars albums,
Yes, yes,
you know.
yes, yes.
So you're definitely
Played on
it's
an
not just.
actual real Moog too.
Oh, really? Wow.
Oh
With the
yeah.
one that the prop up or the
Oh yeah.
mini one?
Oh
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's not like you just hit record on the boombox. There's stuff
Sure.
going on in there. But it also feels, getting back to your vocals, it feels your voice sounds different to me on this album than it's ever sounded before. Is that all just studio technical things, or were you singing differently than you used to, or what?
That's really cool that you point that out because it is true, and I am singing differently. The approach on this stuff is it has nothing to do with studio stuff. It's really just the
Hmm.
approach of these songs, and instead of because I do have a super breathy voice when I sing sometimes, but also like it can be just straight hard toned and
Hmm.
like what's happening with these songs and it's just a different thing and I love that you pointed that out because I haven't showcased that side of my voice yet.
Mm,
But it's sort of like the my singing is my first instrument. Like I
right.
started singing lessons when I was 10 years old, and it's really the thing that I have the most control over and can manipulate. And honestly, I've been trying to lose all that training since I
Well,
since I
sure. That's
became a, like folk musician or whatever kind of musician, just
yeah.
like losing all the training so that I can be as unaffected as possible. And I think I'm
Hmm.
kind of getting there, but it is really just a different thing, a different approach,
Hmm.
and
Okay.
something I haven't really dove into before.
Well, I like it. It works. It works, especially on these songs. And talking about the training. I mean, that's the thing, though, isn't it? You have to learn all the rules so you can break the rules and all that. I mean, it's like Picasso
Exactly.
didn't start off making those
Yeah.
Picasso-esque paintings that he's known for. Everybody learns the
Yeah.
grounding.
Yeah.
So also in terms of this album, it seems to me you really changed the way that, well, obviously that you funded it and got it made, and it seems like you've kind of changed the relationship that you have and want to have with your listeners, audience, community, whatever word you want to use to describe the people on the other
Yeah.
side of the microphone for you. You crowdfunded this one for the first time, right? That was the first time.
Hmm.
So, I mean, aside from the obvious things cost money to be made,
Sure.
you could have done this a long time ago. You could have done this 3 albums ago. So, what
True.
made this the time that you decided, okay, this time I'm going to do it?
Yeah. I think quite simply it was
Hmm.
becoming okay with being completely vulnerable to all of those people that listen to my
Hmm.
music.
Was that
And
hard?
it's difficult. It's
Yeah.
difficult. And I think it takes a lot of time to get there.
Hmm.
Um, because essentially you really are just asking everyone to help you out.
Hmm.
And I think there is an element that of mystery that I love about music and
Hmm.
and the artists that I love. And you kind of have to take that all away if you're going to do this.
Well, yeah, exactly.
You really do. And
Yeah.
um,
That's scary, right? Because
super
what if
scary.
nobody cares, right? What if you
Sure.
did this and you were asking, I can't remember how much money you were asking for, but obviously there are countless people doing this, and you go on those pages and you see sometimes where somebody's raised 10% of
Yeah.
what they wanted, and that's got to be tough,
They
right?
got
To
yeah,
take that lift. Okay.
absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a crazy thing. Like it was I raised $34,000 and I
Hmm.
wasn't even offering a physical product of the record. Like it's incredible.
Right.
I'm humbled by it. And as I've been fulfilling the Kickstarter, there's so many names from my whole span of my career in the different stages, but also, yeah, exactly. Exactly. And then like all these strangers that I don't know from
Mhm.
everywhere. And it's it's put me back into a place where the to recognize the importance of just the connections with
Mhm.
people. That's the gold. And it's not social media, it's not Spotify. Like everything that I've
Right.
everything that I've made has just been all the connections I've made have been through personal connections and shows. And
Mhm.
um it's just it's put me back into the place of like reality. of that
Uh-huh.
because you can get really caught up in all the other bullshit really fast.
Well, yeah, and again, talking about the today's music industry, that's what that's what they're looking for. They're looking for people who are viral on TikTok, and I mean, I get dozens of emails every day from supposed major label artists,
Oh yeah.
that I've never ever heard of, who are like, yeah, they had a viral TikTok last week, and all of a sudden now they've got major label distribution, and I know I'm never going to hear of them again.
Isn't that amazing that we're in that time where like and those folks probably couldn't, put on a 60 to 90-minute show and like engage an audience as
Oh God,
well.
no. Yeah.
Or like crowdfund a record for $34,000. Like it's
Hmm.
interesting what the outside music industry is valuing and it's all going to change on a dime really fast and we're going to watch
Well, yeah,
it, you
because
know.
there's no long-term, there's
Yeah.
not only long-term thinking or planning, there's no incentive for that because
Yeah.
they're all just working to bump the stock price up enough in the next month that they can get their dividends and get the hell out and da 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 da. Whereas what the things you're talking about are things that, as you said, accumulate over the
Hmm.
course of decades and a career, and now you have the ability to sort of, I don't want to say go cap in hand, but it is essentially that sort of going to people and going, okay, hey, hi, you know me, you remember me, we've done this, we've done that, and now I'd like to
Yes.
ask for a favor, and but you have that goodwill built up over the course of a
Yeah.
career.
Yeah.
So
And
so what did
the
it feel
trust
like
and the
when you
connection.
yeah, so what did it feel like when you got them when you crossed that finish line of the $34,000?
It was insane. I mean, it was more money than I even asked for. And
Yeah.
um I still I still don't even know if it's really sunk in. Uh
Uh-huh.
Honestly, because it's super wild. But it
Hmm.
has the best part is that I really learned a lot about myself through it all. And just to
Do
be
tell.
open and
Uh-huh.
vulnerable and
Uh-huh.
to talk about the things like, hey, in 2025 in the real world, like I'm down here in Nashville and it may look like I have all of these things, but I still have to work a 24-hour, a week day job just to
Right.
like offset some costs. Like this is just reality. Nobody's paying for music anymore. So it's more expensive to go on the road now than it was before. And like I was making my living on the road up until 2019. That's
Right.
how I made a living. And obviously I stopped after I had a baby, but to go
Yeah.
back now and to actually try to do the same thing like I was before, it's not even possible. Like the guarantees are still the same in 2025. Like
Uh,
uh the um the even just for session players on the road, like nothing's gone up, but everything
right.
else has gone up. So
Yeah.
it's um it's been nice to just let people know what the reality is and to also expose the reality of being a record producer, like trying to forge that path, because that's really difficult and
Yes.
also a super long game.
Yeah.
And, you know, you don't know how it's going to go. You're just hoping people will come to you because they hear something you've done and they want to
Hmm.
have be a part of that. And there's no roadmap for this at all.
No, no, exactly. And I mean, yeah, I mean, do you have a relationship with a specific studio or?
I work out of different studios depending on the
Okay.
record, and there's a
Okay.
couple different engineers that I use depending on the project, and just whatever is gonna fit, the budget and also the sound and just the group
Right.
of people that we're gonna work with. Uh, there was a really interesting record that I did a couple years ago where um, it, the artist gave me the goal of working with all female non-binary artists and engineer everybody included in the project had to be a
Nice.
woman and it was really interesting and also challenging to to just find the right people for the job and, find a mastering engineer that's within the budget who happens to be a woman who's also great. Like they just don't exist. But I have
Right. Yeah.
built up a nice little database of those folks now to reach out to them. But it's um it's just you just gotta keep making great things, and um that's all I have control over.
Right. Yeah. What do you see your role as in terms of a producer?
Well, it's very much steering the ship from start to finish, but also
Hmm.
having a hand into fulfilling a vision that the artist has and to making that come to life. I like to really make it a collaborative process between the artist I'm working with and myself, um, and to help them express the vision and to and then cast the band, really casting all members of the
Hmm.
whole record, and shaping the sound, and hoping to maybe create a unique sound for that artist as well, and
Right.
amplifying like what is special about them, and really making them feel like they're they're making something exceptional. They're raising the bar for themselves, but also they're taking risks. And that
Right.
is about creating a relationship where they feel safe to do so with me. In a room when we're playing songs and also in the room with everybody tracking. It's a really close relationship that I have with every artist that I've worked with so far. And it kind of seems to keep going that way. Um, we spend months and months on pre-production of the songs that we work on together,
Right.
and before we even get into the studio. So that's kind of, long and short of it. It's a lot, but it's also very simple. But it really is a steering of the ship and every piece of it from start to finish.
Yeah, but ultimately, I think as you said, it comes down to the relationships, and there's a lot of you have to be kind of I think a best friend and a boss and a psychologist and a bartender and all these different things depending on
Yes,
on what's required,
on
right?
the day.
Because
Yep.
yeah, because it's easy to find people who can do the technical aspects of the job, but it's harder to find people who you can get that connection with
Yep.
beyond that, right? I mean, it's like I remember talking to one of the guys who was in the gun club with Jeffrey Lee Pierce,
Yeah.
uh, and he said, you couldn't be in a van with him, never mind
Mm.
be in a band with him, but just,
Yeah. Yep.
you,
Yep.
I mean, and
Yep.
from years of touring, it's you can find a million guys who can play that lead. It's another thing to find a guy who you can spend 12 hours sitting in a van with, on a crappy
Absolutely.
day through the desert. So,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah. And to try to have the trust and to sort of for me to make calls with an artist where I can you know, tell them to try something different and they will, and they'll trust me with
right,
it. And all that kind of stuff. That's huge. And it really does take quite a personal connection to and a relationship to build up over time. Like it's
right.
a long game, even every record.
Hmm.
Um, the amount of coffees that I have with artists before we even play music, it's a lot.
Uh-huh. You need to open a cafe. This is what you need to do.
Yeah.
So is there kind of a dream artist if you could wave the magic wand and you'd get the phone would ring and you'd get that call of hey, produce me. Who would
Mm,
be, the ultimate that you'd love to
interesting.
work with?
Who would I love to work with? Well, see, people usually ask me like, who would you love to go on tour with or something like that. But I
Hmm.
haven't ever thought about I mean, I would honestly love if this is great. Actually, this came to mind. If Bryan Adams would call me.
All right. Why Bryan Adams? What about him?
Well, okay, I think he is one of the greatest, you know, artists, rock and roll artists of our time, even
Hmm.
like Canadian or not. I have honestly referenced so much of the Reckless record for this record. I don't know.
Really?
I didn't, yeah, 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 yeah. Super, super inspirational in terms of the kind of rock music that I love, where it's it can be played in an arena, but it's
Right.
also just like super hooky, super simple, um, and played, by musicians in a band. And I actually
Uh-huh.
saw him a couple years ago here in Nashville, and it was one of the greatest shows I've ever seen. I was
Yeah,
just
he
blown away.
does. He connects with the crowd really well, you know?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
And I
Yeah.
mean, that's just like someone like that, someone like I mean, these are just massive artists that's ridiculous to even say, but um, you know, all of the Canadian greats that I love, like someone like Neil Young, I
Hmm.
someone like him as well. I would love to see some of the legacy artists get out of their comfort zone and take some chances,
Hmm.
and work with someone that's brand new. I think that would be cool.
Well, from your lips to Bryan Adams' ears.
Yeah.
I got to be honest with you. I mean, now that you say it, I can kind of go, okay, I can see where you're the points of similarity
Yeah,
that you're talking about. But I
right?
never in a million years would have, and if I even had that thought, I would have gone, yeah, don't be an idiot. Don't say
It's not
that.
it's not
She's never
Bryan
going to buy
Adams.
that. Yeah, that's anybody but Bryan Adams, of course.
No, it's
Well, no.
totally it's totally that combo of
Mhm.
like the 80s arena rock, but also like
But you're too young for that.
but I love it.
Uh-huh.
I just
Maybe
love
because
it.
you weren't there.
Maybe so. But and then comboed with like the post-punk Riot Girl kind of sound as well, where it's a little
Yeah.
more loose and more attitude. It's like the combo of both of those things, which I love them both for different reasons, but
Yeah, well, I think there's a little Kathleen Hanna in those
yeah,
vocals.
yeah.
I mean, everybody says Joan Jett, and I get that, but that's sort of one step further back for this, you
Yes,
know.
yes, exactly.
So talking about playing and going on the road, are you going to be able to do that with this album? Is that even something that's in the cards, or what?
Yes, it's in the cards. It's in the
Hmm.
cards if um, you know, how do I put this in a way where I don't have a proper booking agent. So,
Right,
and I don't have the time to book my own shows.
right,
And I'm also at a point where I don't want to book my
right.
own shows. I
Sure.
don't think I should need to do that at this point. And it's like until there's someone that's going to do it,
Hmm.
I can't just go and do it. I can't just go and book myself a run. I mean, I
Right.
reach out to friends who are on tour and I say I'd love to come and support the shows. And I'll do that, but it's kind of out of my hands, honestly.
Hmm.
It's not something that I have the bandwidth for. But it
Well,
will happen. It's gonna
right.
happen. I just don't know how or when.
Yeah, and
Um,
it's also not a thing that, I mean, like you were talking about being able to make your living doing that. It's not a thing you can do that with anymore. I mean,
it's true.
and now there's so many people who are losing money and canceling because they
Oh
just
my
can't,
gosh. Even
you
the
know.
even the higher profile artists that are canceling and or going
Yeah.
out and barely breaking even.
Yeah.
It's
So I
it's
mean,
it's
you know.
wild. It's
Well,
wild.
yeah, and yeah, obviously I would think I mean, how old is your daughter now? 6, so that's not, you're not going to take her in a van for a month somewhere, and you don't want to be away for a month somewhere,
Yeah,
and so
I
yeah,
think there's a way to do it where it's sustainable and practical and specific. And that's sort of what I've done when I've reached out to people and let them know that that's how I want to tour. But honestly, that's how I feel like the only way to connect with people is through shows. Um, And it's funny because it's so hard to do these days.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
who knows? I try to figure it out in my brain, but I just kind of have to let the universe take its course, like run its course and see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, like the I didn't get funded for this record for no reason, like this didn't
Hmm.
happen for I've been able to hire some great people to work the record, and I think that it speaks for itself. And I'll just keep, you know, putting together a body of work that is great. Like I said before, it's the only thing I can control, but
Yeah.
I do really feel like the live show is super important in connecting with people.
Hmm. So, I mean, I presume you're still writing. You're always, probably working on your next song or something like that. Has it stayed in this sort of vein that the album is, or are you already kind of doing the artist thing of reacting and going in the opposite direction to not,
No,
repeat yourself?
I think that it's going to be another. I think I'll do another one that'll be very similar to this. And it might be like it might go like a little bit more of an art rock direction, but
Hmm.
it'll still be rock and roll. I want to sort of explore this a little more and see what else I can do and challenge myself writing wise with it. And there's some really cool folks that I wrote with on this record that are friends, and we got some cool stuff. And I'm gonna go back to them and see what else we can do, and I'm just gonna push it even further.
Excellent. And
Yeah.
there's a whole God, bottomless well of Bryan Adams songs you can cover when it gets right down to it, right? When you run out of
Yes.
steam.
Yes. This is true. It's so true. I mean, like, talk about epic guitar solos. Like there's just there's such a well there, and I dig it so hard. It's funny how much Canadian artists have actually kind of inspired me since moving away.
Isn't that the way though, right? You leave home and you think, ah, I'm putting this place in the rear view mirror and I'm never going back and yada 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 and then then you're sitting at home listening to Neil Young and getting all weepy
Right?
for Winnipeg, right? Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I've had to think about this a lot lately where like why is it because I've been kind of trying to figure out why is it that I felt like I had to leave. And maybe it's just that feeling inside myself where, you start out as such a young musician
Hmm.
doing a thing in a scene, and then everybody keeps thinking of you that way, as and
Hmm.
that's probably in my own head too, right? But it was I think as a musician and whoever I'm going to be as a producer, I just had to go somewhere else completely to fully realize what I was going to do.
Oh, totally. And I remember back in the day, I was kind of surprised because you guys had you made what the two albums up here, I think. I'm trying to can't remember the timeline exactly, but it seemed like you were sort of almost just getting a foothold up here, and you were very keen to be gone. Like yeah, it seemed like you could have stayed around and kind of mined, and built up your Canadian thing more, but you seem to really want to, use that as a springboard to
Hmm.
go down
Hmm.
south. Like I was really surprised by and impressed. I don't want to make it sound negative. I was very impressed with the ambition you seem to have at such a relative early part of your career. I mean,
Hmm.
I remember talking to you. I can't remember. It might have been after the second Twilight Hotel,
Yeah.
or maybe the third. And I remember that you called me from a cell phone with a Detroit
Oh yeah.
prefix on it, a Detroit number attached to it, because I was going, who the hell is this? And I picked it up and it was you, and I was going, what? Why? And you just, oh, I just got this cell phone and blah blah blah. But already I was going, oh, okay, this is you were gone, in more ways than one,
It's so funny. I still have that same number.
Okay. Wow.
It's so crazy. Ann Arbor, Michigan, where we crossed over the border and
Ann
got a cell
Arbor.
phone.
Okay.
No, it's wild. I think that it was it's so hard to know the ins and outs for everybody to know, but like it was
Hmm.
really feeling like even those in the beginning stages of two or three records in, like
Hmm.
it was like pulling teeth to get anybody to help us get further along. And we were
Yeah.
getting opportunities down in the States. So, and people were booking us. So it just felt like, well, let's just go where there's love.
Hmm.
Not that there wasn't love, but it was at some point in time, like you need people to help you get further along, in your career. So I think that was the feeling. I remember going to the Junos, I think, and we were like, let's get out of here. Really, like
Uh-huh.
that really was a turning point was going to, I think it was the first time we were nominated and we just didn't feel like we bit. But who knows? That's sometimes just all you're in your own head too. But
Well, I mean, you guys were different, and I was just I just remember thinking that whereas every other band would have taken that opportunity to go east or west, to go to Toronto or to go to
oh, sure.
Vancouver or whatever,
Yeah.
and you guys went
South.
south,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
was again it was definitely against the norm. Like you were sort of ahead of the curve, I think, on that, or like I said, jumping a few steps ahead. Like I
Yeah.
think most bands would have gone, okay, well now we're moving to Toronto,
Yeah.
you know, to
Yeah.
where our career will go to die, you know,
Yeah. And you know what's
you know.
funny is that looking back on all of this now, it makes complete sense to
Hmm.
to my own timeline where we had to make a big move for then, you know, the band to make a big move where I said, okay, this is it. Like we're done and I need to pursue what I'm doing. And not like it started in that way, but big moves lead to big moves. And
Yeah, well,
that's what
exactly.
it
Yeah.
was. And then, 6 months later we moved to the States and we're like broken up as a band. So it's great. Or as a couple too. So that just needs to I wouldn't change a thing, honestly, because
Yeah.
the the relationships and connections that I now have throughout Canada and also Texas and here,
Right.
like everybody, musicians and bands and people in the record industry, like the recording industry, it's just a wealth of folks that have supported me along the way. And I'm grateful for it, and I wouldn't want it any other way, even though it would be nice to like have a sustainable living, but I think we all want that right now. Like no matter like who you are in the music industry, I think
Well, sure.
everybody's or
But
whatever
that's the thing,
career.
though. But you read these books, or you go behind the things, and I've read about so many people whose names you would recognize, who were in, and you know them, you know these people who were in bands you've heard of, who had
Yeah.
arena tours, who were on the
Yeah.
charts, and then it's like, oh, and now he paints houses.
Yeah.
Or
Totally.
is a carpenter when they're not on tour, or is,
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, you kind of, and good for you for doing this with talking about, your day job when you put out those posts and did this other stuff. You really sort of went out of your way to, I don't know what the words are, fracture that myth, pull the curtains, around the Wizard of Oz. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just kind of,
Yeah.
here's the actual reality of it. Because people
Yeah.
think that because they buy your album or they see you at a show or whatever that you are rich and and it's just not true.
Totally. And I
Yeah.
think it's good for people to understand that there are working class musicians and
Hmm.
like middle class musicians that can exist. And I own a house in Nashville. That's pretty
that's
fucking cool,
that's
like
great. Yeah.
to be able to, and I have an amazing husband and daughter, and I get to spend most of my time doing creative things with music. other than the 24 hours a week where I have to work a day job. But you know what?
Sure.
It's like that day job, honestly, has allowed me to have more of a open creative mind and do other musical things that maybe I wouldn't have done, where I'd be just worrying about how I'm gonna like the next gig to pay the bills. Like it just
Yeah, exactly.
it's
Yeah.
interesting. And I think it's also important for people to see the side of like I can play rock and roll music and be an awesome guitar player and record producer and also be like a an awesome mom and
Right.
just to have all of these sides to ourselves. That's reality.
Yeah. Well, and at the age you are and the place in life you are, it's the right place to be, right? It would be, you'd be kind of out of place if you were, still up at 4 a.m.,
Oh yeah.
doing drugs and looking for the after party and, you'd,
Nobody needs to do that.
yeah, well, exactly. All
Been there,
right.
done that.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's enough you emailed me at 7:30 in the morning. It's like, oh yeah, that's a mom. That's a mom, you
Yes.
know?
Yes. Exactly.
All right. Well, listen, I've taken up enough of your day, Mom. You've probably got other stuff to get onto. So I will say once again, thanks for this album, best one yet, and
Thank you. Thank
and now
you.
my mind is all blown. I got to go listen to Bryan Adams now. And
Yes. Put on
yes,
Reckless.
all right. That's the template, is it? All right. And thanks for your time today. And hopefully, I mean, you can always come up here and play.
I know, and I will. I totally
Uh-huh.
will. And
Yeah.
hopefully we're doing this again in like the next, in another 5 years when I put out another record or sooner or later. Or we're
Yeah,
doing
but
this
speed it up a bit.
when when I've
They're
produced
2 minute songs.
the next Bryan Adams record.
There you go. There you go. All right. Well,
Thank
listen, thanks
you.
again.
I
Enjoy the rest
appreciate
of your day.
you.
We'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Okay, bye.